Good morning. It's Friday, October 4th. We made it to Friday.
We did indeed.
New this morning, a small fire at a popular St. Andrew's cinema in St. Charles County. Authorities identified the teen whose body was recovered from Coldwater Creek. A 9-year-old girl abducted as she got off the school bus just blocks from her home. Then if we walk, this is a parking structure here. The bottom section completely closed off, completely flooded. Governor Mike Parson's new crime-fighting plan goes into effect today. Thanks, we want to check in with Sky Fox. Right now, they're over some breaking news in South St. Louis, where we've heard reports of a shooting there. This is in the 4000 block of Chippewa. A house fire in PAGEDALE just hours ago leaves a 75-year-old woman homeless. A look at national headlines. A former Dallas police officer may spend the rest of her life behind bars for a deadly shooting. A person was killed late last night when they were hit by a car in South St. Louis County. This happened around 11 o'clock on Gravois near Summit Road in Fenton. All right, take a look at this. This needed a little bit less get up and go here. This was a crazy sight that was caught on camera at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. An out-of-control catering truck nearly struck an airplane yesterday. Yeah, the Cardinals are in Atlanta to face off against the Braves, but Fox 2's Darian Henderson, he is live at Ballpark Village with all the festivities. Darian, I already saw a tweet of you and your photographer Jamar out there playing games. It already looks fun. Most parents admit that when it comes to Halloween candy, they'll take from their kids' sack a little bit, those trick-or-treat bags. All right, well, this stadium teeing up for some postseason baseball right now, but also some golf. Once the season ends, a one-of-a-kind golf experience will take over the infield. Look at this. It's called Stadium Links. Great party. And you know, Tim, a lot of times people are watching the Super Bowl, yes, for the game, also the commercials, and then also the halftime show.
Yeah, you may know that J-Lo and Shakira slated for the halftime show.
I heard that.
In Miami, but we thought that we could do a little better than that. We were thinking about finding our own dynamic duo.
Yeah.
For the big game halftime show.
I think we did a pretty good job.
I think we did pretty good too. Take a look. Like no mystery to solve here, Velma. This is gonna be like the best halftime show ever with Scooby Snacks. Yeah, Gretel, and after we dance at the halftime show.
Tim, I think this is perfect. Okay, Tim, this is the ultimate couples duet costume.
I'm not wearing it.
Come on, Tim, I can't move without you. Come on, you gotta move forward like this.
All right, Katherine, I think I got a better idea.
Okay.
Think about the ultimate halftime show duet.
Am I thinking what you're thinking?
The Denim Duo. Just keep on turning. Proud Mary, keep on burning. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river.
They're finding bullet holes actually in their front door. There's one in this white door here. I'm standing along Highway 94 here. You can see no cars are coming. Now the water hasn't reached over the highway yet, but look at this. This is how close it is. This is what people are concerned about. You know, the house behind me, this is the one that we're looking at. I'm gonna step out of the way so you can get a good look at this here. Because I was just able to talk to the public information officer with Maryland Heights. She tells me that an officer was shot here. He was taken to the hospital. He is in stable condition. Yeah, Margie, Jennifer's husband, Bo, is behind bars behind me right now, charged with her murder. Now, initially, investigators were looking for Jennifer's body in parks around the Creve Coeur area. This, where I'm standing, is run over from the Mississippi River. And really, this is the visual I want you guys to see. Water from the Mississippi already breaching the levee here in Winfield. Yeah, guys, right now the fire is out. Fire crews have left this scene, but I was talking with an employee of the hospital and she tells me that this fire may have started as the result of a break-in. Take a look at some video we have from the Bommarito Automotive Sky Fox. I'm along Main Street here in Grafton and I've got to show you this. Behind me is a nice man. He's got to take a boat to work this morning. You know, I didn't even mess with the hair today. It is that humid out here. I have a great humidity hairspray. Not worth even bothering. I'll take a quote out of my mother's book, and she says, if you stand out too long in this humidity, and today's one of those days, you're going to just look wilted. Yeah, we're kind of at the end of the parade route here, so we've got a while until the parade gets to us. Now that we're in position here on the front of your car, what is going on? What is this like? For the first time ever, the Washington Nationals hoisted the World Series trophy into the air. And at the center of the celebration was pitcher Max Scherzer.
It's really been quite a journey to get here, and to see your son live out a lifelong dream of his. It's outstanding. It's wonderful.
Before Max was a World Series champion, he was a Mizzou Tiger and a Parkway Central Colt.
I can name a ballpark in St. Louis, and we've played there a number of times and had a lot of fun there.
Max's father, Brad, says he knew at a young age that his son had a passion for baseball.
To be honest, about 2 years old, I would come home and he'd be there with a ball and bat and say, "Dad, we're going to play down in the basement," and during the wintertime and all that. So it was always that way. He always enjoyed baseball and he enjoyed athletics.
Max played baseball all throughout his years at Parkway Central High School. Brad says that's when a pregame tradition started that he's pretty sure Max still uses today.
What he used to do is go get roast beef sandwiches before a game. Before a game, he'd load up, he'd have like 3 roast beef sandwiches and eat that. I'm still sure he does that today.
Max was drafted by the Cardinals out of high school, but decided to go to Mizzou instead. Now, Brad says that Max wanted to make sure that he had an education and a choice of what he wanted to do in life. He says it took some of the pressure off of baseball, and it was the right move for Max.
Mizzou really developed him. They really did a fantastic job of improving him. So his strength, his abilities, his mental, the whole approach. So that was a really good choice for him.
As Brad and I chatted about Max's pitching career at Mizzou, an old friend who happened to be doing his daily walk around the park stopped by to congratulate Brad. Greg Vitello is a longtime baseball coach at DeSmet, and his son was Max's pitching coach at Mizzou.
I think in the dictionary where you see the word competitor, Max's picture is right next to that word. That's what he is. He's an ultimate competitor.
He remembers that first time he saw Max pitch.
We pitched against DeSmet in a district baseball game. I can't tell you what year it was, but he came in relief, and I think his first 3 pitches hit the backstop. And his coach kind of rolled his eyes, and I kind of rolled my eyes, but he managed to get himself out of the inning. But we knew he was a talent then.
Vitello says that his son also knew right away that Max was going to make it big. He describes Max as a first-class guy and says a lot of that comes from his upbringing and parents.
You won't meet any classier group of individuals. Like I said, I've known them for a real long time. They just, there's nothing special about Max. He's just one of their kids, and they just enjoy, watching him pitch.
Brad and Jan have watched their son pitch for years and weren't about to miss many of the playoff games.
October's been a crazy month, and I can only thank my business partner for kind of covering for me at work and all that, because I've been gone a lot, and I've kept Southwest Airlines in business.
They were there at Game 7 when their son became a World Series champion. On stage, Max pointed at his dad, a small gesture with a whole lot of meaning.
I saw him up on the stage, and we were able to get down on the field, and we maneuvered around there, and we finally made eye contact and all that. We pointed to each other because we both knew what it meant. We both knew the emotion that we had, the journey it took to get here, and just everything about it. And so, he had a tear in his eye, and so did I.
Reporting, I'm Katherine Hessel, Fox 2 News.
That is such a cool story. Katherine did a great job.
We all know that phrase that there are heroes among us, and that could not be more apparent than in sitting down and talking with the Wirtz family.
I have been in Cambodia a week now, and my buddy and I are going to take a ride on the dirt bikes.
Scott Wirtz's parents, Dave and Fran, read through emails from Scott over the years.
Dad needs to just stop drinking soda and we'll be good to go. He needs to start drinking Propel. It has a sweet taste to it. Plus, if he was quitting for Lent, just tell him Jesus would be mad if he catches him cheating.
Dave and Fran, Scott's second mom, worried that deployments and war would change Scott's big, funny, outgoing personality. But it didn't. Starting school at All Souls and then moving to St. Richard's, Scott tried every sport, even skateboarding.
He was still a skater dude, and he had the hair, and Tony Hawk was his idol.
Scott played football at DeSmet during high school, and after high school went on to wash windows at sports arenas.
He was an adrenaline junkie.
So it didn't surprise Dave and Fran when Scott joined the Navy and became a Navy SEAL.
He was determined he was not going to fail.
Yeah.
That was not an option.
Scott didn't fail. As a SEAL for 8 years, at times he couldn't tell his parents where he was or what he was doing, but he did tell them about his fellow SEALs.
Scott never had any biological siblings, but he's probably got more brothers than anybody.
Deployments were the norm for the Wirtz.
I got all the fun stuff to do, the fun mother stuff. Help me with my bills and call this person. Can you take care of this for me? Can you fax this? Can you, send money here? And which is fine. That's what, that's what you do.
In 2005, Scott retired from the SEALs. Within just a few days, government agencies were asking him to do contract work. And since he now had a little bit more downtime, Scott got into spearfishing and MMA fighting. One day, he met and became friends with his favorite fighter, Anderson Silva.
Somehow the word got out, and everybody found out that Scott was a SEAL. And it ended up, Anderson was more impressed with Scott.
Last month, Scott was home celebrating his birthday and an early Christmas before heading to Syria.
He said he'd be gone for 4 months.
On January 16th, Dave and Fran heard that there had been a deadly bombing in Syria. For years, bombs had exploded near Scott, so they weren't concerned. Then they got a late-night knock at their door, and Fran thought that someone was trying to break in.
I go, don't open the door. Talk through the door.
Dave was initially confused, but when the woman at the door introduced herself, it became clear.
And as soon as you said DA, I'm like, oh my God. And Fran's like, what? No, I go, Scott's dead.
Since then, it's been a blur. They stood by the president at Dover Air Force Base to greet Scott's body as it landed back in the States. Dave says in that casket is his son and his best friend.
And he always said I was his best friend.
Dave and Fran say that if Scott had to do life all over again, he wouldn't change a thing. And if they could say one last thing to him, it would be this.
Thank you for being in my life.
Love you, man.
Dave and Fran don't know yet when Scott's body will arrive back here into St. Louis or when the funeral services will be held. Reporting, I'm Katherine Hessel, Fox 2 News.